Part 33. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 336. When Susianer cancelled her Weibo account, the more than 200 million followers were instantly homeless. And the most important thing is that it is unbelievable that Susianer actually did that. The media went crazy. Did Susianer really intend to retire? Was Lin Yu's Weibo post such a big blow? At this moment, all the media ignored Lin Yu's previous Weibo posts. Because it was meaningless. The fight on Weibo was seen by both sides. But Susianer, as one of the protagonists, did not join in and even retired directly. It is incredible, this is too willful. Even if you retire, you don't need to cancel your Weibo account. In an instant, the media was shocked and excited, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Miaobi teacher keeps his word and completely cancels his Weibo account. A Weibo post caused a cancellation tragedy. More than 200 million fans are homeless. A brief discussion on the impact of Miaobi's withdrawal from the circle on the development of the ACK industry. Almost when Susianer cancelled her Weibo account, all the news from the media came out, which completely confused the fans and spectators who were paying attention to this matter. Really cancelled? At this moment, many people searched for the word Miaobi on Weibo, but couldn't find it at all. Of course, some people still wanted to register this nickname, and they actually registered successfully. This made that person feel cold, because the person who registered this ID was also a fan. Since he registered successfully, this means that Miaobi teacher really cancelled his account. And many people followed him one after another, and after learning that he was not Miaobi teacher, they sprayed him on Weibo, and all kinds of ugly words came out. However, this fan expressed understanding, because his mind was still confused. More than 200 million fans. How can you abandon it just like that? At this moment, the fans on Weibo were speechless. They were very confused and didn't even know what to say. Susianer's Weibo was their backbone. Now the backbone was suddenly gone, and they didn't know what to do for a while. At this time, the manga home forum had already been in turmoil. With the popularity of the style of painting, manga home has expanded countless times. It is not only the residence of cartoonists, but also the residence of many comic lovers. As early as last night when Susianer said that she would retire, the manga home forum was completely in turmoil. And this morning, Susianer's Weibo was completely cancelled, which almost made them dumbfounded. Many self-proclaimed smart people said that this must be the method that Miaobi teacher came up with to fight against the verbal criticism after Susianer posted on Weibo last night, and many people posted and vowed that Miaobi teacher would definitely not cancel his Weibo. Such remarks were also spread to Weibo, and some people even said that Susianer was completely playing with fans and would lose fans. But now this situation has completely silenced them, and a sense of absurdity spread throughout their bodies. Lose a fart of fans. There are no fans at all. More than 200 million fans, just say no. What? 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 It's really cancelled. What about those people who said that Miaobi teacher will not be cancelled? Damn. Crazy, really crazy. Without Miaobi teacher, what will happen to our comics industry? Calm down upstairs. Now the comics industry has been thoroughly developed. Although the absence of Miaobi teacher may delay it, it will definitely continue to develop step by step. Don't worry, this industry has been brought up by Miaobi teacher, and it will not end. Hee, easy to say. Do you know that when Miaobi teacher posted on Weibo yesterday, many cartoonists in many comic groups said that if Miaobi teacher retired, they would not draw comics. How stupid, you believe this? You have to believe it even if you don't want to. Go and check out the pinned post on Taiba. Last night, many people in the comics circle learned about Susianer's Weibo. Some radical cartoonists even said in fan groups and even on Weibo that if Miaobi teacher retired, they would not want to draw comics. Not to mention some cartoonists groups. Whether it was an impulse or a whim, this kind of speech is shocking. But last night, everyone was discussing that Weibo post and criticizing those marketing accounts and media, and no one paid attention to the comments of these cartoonists. But Tencent Comics was very concerned about this comment, which was why Zhao Jing contacted Chen Rui early in the morning, because this comment frightened him. He even saw some readers saying that if teacher Miyaobi stopped drawing comics, they would not read comics. This made Zhao Jing know that these fans and readers already had an extreme worship mentality. In their opinion, if Susiener stopped drawing comics, what was the use of other cartoonists no matter how good they were? Only if Susiener was in the comic circle, other comics were worth reading. This situation was very scary. These fans were no longer fans of Susiener for the sake of reading comics, but because of Susiener as a person, they would read comics. And there were not a few such people, or a lot of them. At this time, a post appeared in Miyaobi bar. The host did not reply after posting, and there was no follow-up, but it was directly pinned to the top, and when many people heard the news and came curiously. This post was called Teacher Miyaobi, if you leave, I will leave too, has reached over 10,000 comments in just 10 minutes, and the number of replies is increasing at an inhuman speed. Let me introduce myself. I am a cartoonist. Tencent Comics is serializing the comic book This Nun is a Little Yellow, and the results are pretty good. The editor told me to work harder and said that my comic book might be adapted into an animation, which made me very excited. However, yesterday I got a piece of news that made me feel very bad. Miyaobi teacher is going to retire. When I heard the news while drawing comics, I thought someone was joking. But when I went to Weibo and saw Miyaobi teacher's Weibo, I was shocked. But I didn't lose my composure, because everyone was saying that Miyaobi teacher deliberately said this to punish the marketing account that added verbal criticism, and I didn't sleep well all night with a nervous mood. But I didn't expect that when I wanted to go to Miyaobi teacher's Weibo just now, I found that the Weibo was gone. At this moment, my faith collapsed. I entered this industry with a pilgrimage mentality half a year after Miyaobi teacher debuted. I am a die-hard fan of Miyaobi teacher. It can be said that I entered this industry because of Miyaobi teacher, and I followed my idol. However, the idol is gone. I just wanted to draw comics, but I couldn't draw because of my irritability. I might as well continue to follow Miyaobi teacher's footsteps and leave. Many people say that when an industry is big, it will be full of smoke and miasma. I didn't believe it before, but after experiencing this, I believe it. Since Miyaobi teacher chose to retire, there must be a reason. As a fan, I must continue to follow Miyaobi teacher. I would like to say sorry to the fans and editors who support me. Seeing this post, everyone was speechless. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 337. Post by this person named Martyr. It shocked many people. Some people who come from comic forums are incredible. Some people even went to Tencent Animation to search for the comic This Nun is a Little Yellow and found that this comic's score is above average. It is a very good daily comic and has been serialized for more than 50 chapters. This comic follows a relaxed daily flow, is humorous and interesting, and has good results. Some people were secretly shocked when they looked at the many reminders, rewards and praise in the comment area. This martyr was so stubborn that he wanted to be a eunuch. And when the editor revealed that it was going to be animated. How irrational. However, some calm and rational people discovered that as this post spread, more and more cartoonists like Martyr began to make announcements one by one and follow teacher Miyaobi. Hello. What are you doing? Don't be confused. A group of melon eaters were dumbfounded. As melon eaters, they were not anyone's fans, but since they paid attention to this matter, in addition to watching the fun, they naturally also like to read comics. Of course, most people like to watch animation. Most of the Japanese animations in the previous life were light novels with the most animations, but in this world, China has obviously adapted the most comics. Now a group of people can't think about it. They all want to follow Teacher Miyobi and no longer plan to draw comics. The editors who got the news reported this information to the senior management one after another, looking anxious, hoping that someone would come out to stop this phenomenon. Yeching and others outside the Huaxia Conservatory of Music were also confused. They did not expect that Susienner would directly cancel her Weibo account. This was obviously because the matter was not big enough. Just when the fans outside the school were making a commotion, Yeching stood up quickly and said loudly, "Everyone, please be patient. Director Huang has just entered and will definitely be able to convince Teacher Miyobi. Don't worry." Although this statement seems a bit weak. But Yeching is the head of the group after all, so he still has some prestige. Of course, the main reason is that most people know that the other party's identity is not simple. But, Teacher Miyobi's Weibo has been deleted. He is determined to retire, a fan couldn't help but shout. These words made many people nod their heads, and even logged out of Weibo. This made it clear that there was no way out for him. Don't worry, even if you log out of Weibo, there will still be a backup. After all, Teacher Miyobi's identity is extraordinary. He has more than 200 million fans. How can he log out so easily? Hearing this, everyone felt that it was reasonable. After all, there are so many Weibo accounts with fans, but there are only a dozen or so in China, and many of them are old superstars, and their fame is not as good as before. Susienner has risen in the past year and is an emerging idol. Weibo will definitely be very cautious. Thinking about this, everyone gradually became quiet. They all hoped that Director Huang could persuade Susienner, otherwise they would really make a fuss at the Huaxia Conservatory of Music and go to Susienner's dormitory to let the other party know. Don't retreat. Don't doubt it. Now that they are here, they will definitely be able to do such a thing. And just as the internet storm was beginning to emerge, Huang Xuntao looked at the heartless girl in front of him and wanted to catch her and beat her up. But it's a pity that Susienner is not his child. Teacher Miyobi, I will explain to you, Lin Yu, Huang Xuntao said solemnly. Then seeing Susienner's puzzled expression, he couldn't help but explain, Lin Yu is the verbal and written critic on the internet. If it is because of the other parties, if the remarks cause any trouble to you, our animation administration will come forward to clarify it for you, and we will also compensate you for the damage to your reputation. Huang Xuntao did regret it. The Animation and Animation Administration Bureau knew about this incident immediately, but he thought it was a normal public opinion. He did not expect that this shit would actually trigger Susienner's retirement. This is so dreamy, like a dream. As for logging out of Weibo, Huang Xuntao, like Yeching, is obviously not too anxious about Susienner logging out of Weibo. There must be a backup on Weibo. As long as Susienner says she won't retire now, he can give her a call, go over and restore that Weibo account to its original state. But, I don't want to draw comics anymore. Susienner felt that the other party was not smart. She had already made it very clear that she didn't want to draw comics, wanted to retire, and wanted to enjoy life, so why did she still persuade him? Teacher Miyobi, you have hundreds of millions of fans. If you stop drawing comics, what will your fans do? And now your fans on the internet have been apologizing to you. Huang Xuntao is very familiar with things on the internet. Susienner's fans spontaneously criticized the situation on a large scale last night. Many fans said that when the verbal and written critic posted on Weibo, he did not kill the mentally retarded person immediately, which resulted in such a scene. They thought that Susienner must be very disappointed with them and thought that they were not loyal enough. After all, since Susienner is regarded as an idol, when someone comes out to criticize his idol, shouldn't he use the crowd tactics to get rid of that Weibo account online? It's a pity that Lin Yu's Weibo has been fine for a day or two. This is what Yeching regrets the most, because some members wanted to threaten this guy to delete his Weibo when this verbal criticism first came out. As a result, Yeching felt that if he did this, it would cause trouble. If the time comes, Susiener's reputation will be very bad, and others will find fault. I didn't expect Susiener to have such a bad temper. Directly announce retirement. It can be said that Yeching is the one who regrets the most. If he had known earlier, he would have cut the Gordian knot and directly killed that Weibo account. At this time, Susiener listened to Huang Xuantao's words and yawned. You have announced your retirement and cancelled your Weibo account. Then you immediately announced your comeback. Isn't this crazy? And it feels like playing a trick on fans. If I come back, all my fans will probably turn against me. I think that announcing my retirement at the peak of my career is the glory of my life. Anyway, the comics industry is now developed, and it doesn't matter whether I am there or not. Mr. Miyobi, this is really different. Huang Xuantao's mouth twitched, and he felt weak all over. This little girl made him have no way to start, and he said helplessly, Mr. Miyobi, if you think it's inappropriate to come back right away, you can wait a few days and come back at that time. Apologize sincerely, I believe they will be very happy and understand. After all, Susiener is only 18 years old, and it is the time of youth and willfulness. Isn't it normal for a little girl to have a little temper? In addition, Susiener is only 18 years old and is already famous. She is used to having smooth sailing. Now that she has been criticized, it is normal for her to be sensitive. And Susiener represents this industry. The more than 200 million followers represent the young Chinese people who like ACK, which is several times more than before. This is all brought by Susiener. Moreover, the other party looks invincible and cute, is extremely famous, has countless fans, and is a topic maker and a Weibo headline machine. As long as the other party stays in this circle, he can bring countless fresh blood to this circle. It is not an exaggeration to say that Susiener is a national idol. In addition, the comics drawn by the other party are all of high quality. The big IP Book of Life and Death is famous throughout the country. It can be said that as long as the other party is still drawing comics, the number of people who like the second dimension will continue to increase. It would be too unwise to retire now. I will be criticized to death. Susiener would never agree to this idiotic idea. As she said, she looked at the time. When she was about to let the other party leave, Huang Xuantao's cell phone rang again. What? Huang Xuantao was stunned when he answered the phone. This time, he was really dumbfounded. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 338. Are these people idiots? Just when Huang Xuantao received the news, Tencent Animation Yanjing branch, Zhao Jing listened to Luoyang's report and looked at the other party with a look of disbelief. Anger welled up in his heart, but he was powerless. Last night, a staff member reported that many cartoonists said on Weibo that they would not want to draw cartoons if Mr. Miyobi retired. Although this incident made Zhao Jing anxious, he didn't think these cartoonists would do this. After all, many cartoonists are married and have careers, so how could they be so impulsive over this matter? We are all adults, how could we be so childish? But when the Miao Bibo post appeared, the editors of Tencent Animation felt something was wrong. First of all, this cartoonist named Martyr, because of his youth and vigor, aroused the emotions of many cartoonists of his age, causing them to become emotional and make such an unreasonable decision in an instant. There are some good and bad among this group of cartoonists. Maybe they really want to follow Teacher Miyobi, or they may make this decision impulsively. Of course, they may also be driven by emotions. In any case, cartoonists now have a small number of cartoons. Home, suddenly announced under his comics, unless teacher Miyobi comes back, there will be no more updates. And this group of people is mainly young cartoonists. You must know that since Susiener's debut, the style of comics has changed drastically. Many comics industries that used to be depressed or monopolized in the past have gradually opened their arms to young painters like them. All of this was brought about by teacher Miyobi, coupled with Susiener's age and strength. These young people all regarded Susiener as their idol. There are many extreme fans like the martyrs who regard Susiener as their faith. In their minds, the comics industry was changed by Susiener. If Susiener had retired normally, they might not have done so. But Susiener was obviously not the one. She was wronged and then retired. In their view, Susiener changed the comics industry and the act circle. However, when the other party was wronged, they did not try their best to help the other party. As a fan, what face do I have to continue painting? They even came up with extreme ideas. An industry that teacher Miyobi treated in this way was eventually blackmailed by Sunspots, but the cartoonists who benefited did not come out to support teacher Miyobi. This makes them very disappointed. However, after these young cartoonists announced that they would stop writing, they were still within the tolerance of Tencent Animation, but what happened next caused the editors of Tencent Animation and even Lu Yang and Zhao Jing to collapse a little. After these cartoonists announced this, something happened again on the reader's side. First of all, the fans headed by teacher Miyobi know that Susiener is famous in the comics circle. Almost all cartoonists who draw comics and readers who read comics know Susiener. Among such a group of readers, there is a group of people who only read Susiener's comics. Except for Susiener's comics, they will not take a look at any other comics, no matter how beautiful other cartoonists draw them. This group of people only accounts for a small proportion of Susiener's fans. But when Susiener announced her retirement and the cartoonist headed by Martyr announced that she would stop writing, this group of fans also announced in Taiba, Weibo, and even the comment area of Tencent Animation that they would never read comics again, unless teacher Miyobi come back. And once this hole opened, it was almost like a big avalanche. Many fans who like to read comics suddenly lost interest in this comic circle, and one by one said that they would never read comics again in the future. In their opinion, since these young cartoonists and Mr. Miyobi have stopped writing, they might as well read novels instead of reading crappy cartoons in the future. This directly made some old cartoonists stupid. I've stopped writing and don't read comics anymore, so why am I still drawing? A well-known cartoonist saw a large number of fans quit his fan group, and his mentality exploded, so he announced the closure directly in his comics. I plan to become an artist at the invitation of my friend. At this moment, Luoan, the artist of The Spirit of the Halberd Eater, also made an announcement directly in the comic. As the painter of The Spirit of the Shokuji, my current status is all given to me by teacher Miyobi. Now that teacher Miyobi has announced his retirement, I am a little discouraged. I would like to announce that The Spirit of the Shokuji spirit has been suspended indefinitely. As soon as this announcement was made, the entire comic circle exploded. You must know that the author of The Spirit of the Halberd Eater is Susiener. This is also the only comic still being serialized. When Susiener announced his retirement before, he had already published 2 chapters of Susien series and directly announced it's over, leaving many people confused. And now Spirit of the Shokuji has been suspended indefinitely. All of a sudden, it has completely caused an avalanche in the comics industry. Nima, are there any comics that can be read in the current comic circle? They are all eunuchs. Teacher Miyobi, please come back soon, the comic industry needs you. Suddenly I discovered that teacher Miyobi's status in the comic circle is so high. I feel like crying, but I don't have any tears. Many of my favorite comics have been discontinued. And in the midst of this avalanche, more and more cartoonists gradually announced that they would stop publishing indefinitely. It's not that they don't want to continue drawing, but it's that the readers in the fan group don't seem to read comics anymore, and they don't talk about comics in the group anymore. This lets them know that comic subscriptions will probably be dropped every day in the future. When they thought of this scene, they panicked and their mentality exploded. In this situation, thinking of so many cartoonists stopping updating, countless fans said they would not read comics. A feeling of disillusionment spread throughout the comic circle, and then Luoyang reported the situation. Now in the comic circle, readers have been lost in large numbers. 40% of cartoonists in the comic circle have said that they will stop updating indefinitely. Unless Miyobi teacher returns, they will not draw comics anymore. The number of cartoonists who have stopped updating is still increasing. The most important thing is that many cartoonists have not woken up yet. It is estimated that their mentality will explode directly after waking up. This should be the atmosphere that drives people in the comic industry. Luoyang's face was extremely solemn. To be honest, Luoyang still couldn't believe that such a fantastic thing happened in front of him. But according to the staff, this is a kind of herd mentality, plus a reason called atmosphere. When everyone stops updating and fans are gone, those cartoonists who have not stopped updating will be shaken in their hearts. Deep down in their hearts, they don't want to be outliers, so they will naturally follow the overall atmosphere. When this atmosphere was formed, a large number of readers in the comics industry left, a small number of comics artists stopped updating, readers continued to leave, comics artists' mentality exploded, and a large number of them stopped updating. This is a cycle. And the cause of this cycle was Susienner's cancellation of her Weibo account. Susienner's cancellation of her Weibo account caused the initial group of young comics to lose their faith and become eunuchs, planning to follow Susienner together. This was the main and fundamental reason for this avalanche. Prepare the car. I'm going to the music school. Zhao Jing knew that if Susienner didn't come back, the comics industry would be over. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 339. When Zhao Jing came to the gate of the Conservatory of Music, he couldn't help but be confused when he saw so many people at the gate. Then I learned about the situation and was a little shocked. But it seemed that these people were just staying quietly and not making trouble, so they couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. After all, if this breaks out, it will be Susienner who loses his reputation. However, when he thinks that Susienner is going to retire, Zhao Jing slaps his head, guessing that the other party will not care about his reputation. Weibo has been cancelled, and there has been such a big movement, which has caused an avalanche in the comics industry, and the culprit is Susienner. But he didn't dare to pass the pot to Susienner. Who would have thought that because of Susienner, the entire comic industry would become like this? And just after he got out of the car, a person got out of the car next to him. The two looked at each other and couldn't help but be startled. Dr. Chen, why are you here? Zhao Jing saw Chen Rui and forced a smile. But at this time, he really couldn't smile and could only squeeze it out. As a result, Chen Rui also forced a smile and looked at Zhao Jing. He was really not in a good mood now. The two of them looked at each other and knew that the other had something on their minds, and since they had both arrived at the school gate, they both knew that it was related to Susienner. Then I shared a wave and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Chen Rui was frightened when he learned about what was going on in the comics industry. Because of his own company's affairs, he didn't pay much attention to the comics industry today, but in less than a day, such a big thing happened. This is a bit fanciful. And Zhao Jing also knew what happened with Chen Rui. It's also related to Susienner. When Susienner logged out of Weibo, Station B also exploded. The first thing that comes to mind is Sujug's Weibo. You must know that Sujug is a virtual singer operated by Station B. Now the number of Weibo fans exceeded 100 million a month ago. In the ACT circle, it can be said that Princess Jug is everyone knows about reputation. According to Chen Rui's plan, he would hold a concert for Sujug and invite Susienner to come over to enhance Sujug's reputation. Let Sujug become the only idol in the ACT circle. He had invited Susienner to compose music before, just to prepare for the concert. He came to Yanjing to participate in the comic exhibition, and met Susienner as one of them. The second is to discuss the venue of the concert. Chen Rui wants to hold a tour concert for Sujug, and the stage in Yanjing naturally wants to be placed in the bird's nest. However, since ancient times, there has never been a virtual character singing on the bird's nest. After all, the virtual singer was the first one created by their bee station. Unexpectedly, he just wanted to talk to someone, but it hadn't started yet. Just GG. Ever since Susienner posted on Weibo last night, Sujug's attention has been dropping. During the day, after Susienner logged out of Weibo, Sujug's attention immediately collapsed. The staff also wanted to use Sujug's Weibo to speak to persuade him to stay, but Chen Rui stopped him. Sujug's character is affectionate, kind, and enthusiastic. As the incarnation of Qingluan, Sujug came to modern times through life and death in order to find his lover. This was Sujug's original persona, so Chen Rui knew that if Sujug's Weibo speech retained fans, then this persona would collapse. Chen Rui naturally didn't want this to happen, and he knew that even if he wanted to stay, it would be useless. The root cause of everything was Susienner. As long as Susienner comes back, these fans will come back. Fortunately, the number of users at Station B has not decreased, but Chen Rui does not dare to take it lightly. Sujug's fans have dropped so quickly in just one morning. Who knows if it will affect Station B? He didn't dare to gamble, so he came to school too. Unexpectedly, I met Zhao Jing at the school gate and learned about the comics industry. I was shocked but even more worried. When the two entered the school, the leaders of the music school also knew about it. In other words, they knew it earlier, but they just didn't know how to deal with it. After all, this matter seems to have nothing to do with their school. In the end, it was Dean Li and Huang Guang who planned to come forward to resolve the matter. As for how to solve it, according to Huang Guang's idea, it would be a good idea for his students not to draw comics, but to study music hard. With Susienner's musical talent, she can make her debut in music. Maybe she can become a world-class diva. Although he has always had different ideas from his son, Dean Li is on the same front as Huang Guang in this regard. Originally, they had been wondering why Susienner, a cartoonist, came to their school, only now did they realize that he wanted to retire and concentrate on studying music. But Dean Li and Huang Guang were a little shocked by the shock on the internet. There was no way, they didn't expect that an 18-year-old girl would have such a high status in the comics industry. This was beyond their expectation. At this time, Huang Xuntao had just learned about what was happening in the comics industry from the phone. Just as he was about to tell Susienner, who was already impatient, the bell rang outside the door. Lin Jingshu, who was watering the flowers in the backyard, heard the sound and ran to open the door. Then when she saw the 5 people outside, she couldn't help but look confused. You. Fortunately, she saw the yellow light for a moment, and said in surprise, "Teacher Huang." Huang Guang pointed inside and whispered, "Is student Su here?" Chen Rui and Zhao Jing beside them couldn't help but get hopeful. They naturally knew that Susienner must be there, but if Lin Jingshu said she wasn't there, it meant that Susienner didn't want to see them, which meant that this matter was no longer in Susienner's eyes. Gotta talk. I have logged out of Weibo, I really don't want to talk anymore. Yes. Fortunately, Lin Jingshu's words made them feel relieved. When Susienner was about to come, she found that Lin Jingshu had brought back 5 people from the door. 4 familiar ones, Zhao Jing, Chen Rui, Huang Guang, and Lu Yang, and an old lady. When they saw Huang Xuntao, they were shocked. Director Huang. When Susienner heard Director Huang, she was confused for a while, and looked at Huang Xuntao and asked, "Who are you?" Huang Xuntao, who was originally very anxious, was silent after hearing this, and said, "For a long time, I have been chatting with you for a long time, And you don't know who I am? Then she saw Susiener shaking her head, and she said speechlessly, I am the director of the Animation Administration Bureau, Huang Xuntao. Now, Huang Xuntao is very tired. After chatting with the other party for so long, Susiener didn't even know who he was. In an instant, Susiener's unreliability left a deep impression on him. You don't know me, and you chatted with me for so long? How stupid are you? Huang Xuntao sat on the chair, his mind was a bit confused. Suddenly, he didn't know how to speak. And Susiener looked at Lin Jingshu with dissatisfaction at this time. Why did this girl always let people in? This time, she let 5 people in. But it was no longer possible to drive people away now. After sitting down, Zhao Jing couldn't wait to say, Miyobi teacher, you can't retire. Do you know what is happening in the comics industry now? I think retirement is pretty good. Dean Li, who hadn't spoken all the way, spoke slowly at this time, looking at Susiener, and the more he looked at her, the more he liked her. When he said this, everyone except Huang Guan was stunned. So Dean Li didn't come to help them. He came to be a troublemaker? I was thinking about what to write in the final main line these 2 days, so I was confused for 2 days. The following is Trading Time. Recommend a novel written by a beautiful girl, Transformation Game Princess, which is a story about a lowly named Mu Xiaoxian who changed 2 fields by herself. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 340. Susiener was surprised when she said this. She thought these people were here to persuade her not to retire. But she had already made up her mind, and it wouldn't be easy for anyone to do it. Today, she is determined to retire. Seeing everyone looking at him, and most of them looked at him with hostility, Dean Li calmly smiled and said, since Mr. Su has chosen Huaxia Conservatory of Music, he must have a lot of yearning for the music industry. Before, many people in the media don't understand Student Su's actions, and Student Su's retirement today is obviously because he wants to enter the music industry. Am I talking about Student Su? At the end, Dean Li looked at Susiener and winked slightly, leaving Susiener speechless. But now Susiener decided to remain silent. The old lady came out to help her anyway, so why should she speak out? Even if you like music, you can still work part-time, Zhao Jing couldn't help but say. The current turmoil in the comics industry has made his calm temperament a bit impulsive. In the past, teacher Miyobi was drawing comics, so it wasn't like he couldn't. While making music. When Susiener was drawing comics before, she also participated in some song selection competition. Dual line operation is not difficult for Susiener. Dean Li smiled and shook his head. Comics are a profession with a long cycle and require a lot of hard work. If Su continued to work in the comics industry, it would be impossible for him to work part-time in music. The music he had created before might be a limit. And who can guarantee that there will be inspiration all the time? Arranging music is all about a flash of inspiration, but during the process of drawing comics, all the energy is focused on the comics. Where does the flash of inspiration come from? I guess Student Su is obviously worried about this. That's why I decided to quit this industry. I'm right. Student Su. After Dean Li finished speaking, he also asked Susiener. What else could Susiener say? The top priority now was to send these people away. So I dealt with it vaguely. Teacher Miyobi doesn't need to draw by himself. Zhao Jing couldn't help but said. Although you don't have to draw it yourself, you need to think of the plot yourself, right? It's not easy to come up with a wonderful plot. You have to concentrate on it, Dean Li responded calmly. In her opinion, since Susiener wants if you are enrolling in school, then you must have a love for music, otherwise why would the other person come to school? Why don't you go to major art academies? From this point of view, Susiener was probably planning a famous retirement from the time she filled out her application form. Except for Dean Li and Huang Guang, the hearts of everyone present were cold. It turned out to be something I had planned for a long time. Did they still think Susianer was impulsive? If it had been planned a long time ago, then what's the use of them coming today? Huang Xuntao glanced at Chen Rui, Zhao Jing, and others, but found that everyone was helpless. Because the decision-making power was entirely in Susiener's hands, they knew that even if the discussion was very exciting, as long as Susiener wanted to retire, their persuasion was fruitless, so they had to retire. Teacher Miyobi, do you really want to retire? Zhao Jing glanced at Susiener and couldn't help but said helplessly when he saw that the other party was actually playing with his mobile phone. Such a talented person is helpless because of his lazy temperament. To be honest, no cartoonist has ever been treated like this since ancient times. Susiener nodded, she was determined. And she has never signed a long-term contract with any of these companies. It can be said that she was ready to retire from the moment she started drawing comics. Then I agreed to the script from the animation administration before. Don't worry, aren't there still a few months left? I'll give it to you then. Susiener has not forgotten this, but this is simple. When the time comes, just give it to them. Huang Xuntao stood aside, feeling bitter in his heart. Is today destined to be a wasted trip? Chen Rui's heart sank and his tone was heavy. Teacher Miyobi, since you retired, Sujug's fans have been losing. I'm afraid. Chen Rui didn't say anything else. But Susiener understood what the other party meant. Wasn't it because he wanted to retain her? When she thought about it, she said, the virtual singer is unique to Station B. Even if other companies develop it, Sujug's character is there, and it may be possible in a short time you will lose followers, but in the long run, you won't become obscene. Don't worry about that. Of course, I know what you are worried about. Isn't it just about the users of Bilibili? But I don't have that much influence yet, and Station B is a website. Although it was my influence that caused the increase in the number of people before, today I have retired and it will not have much impact on Station B because these users are already used to Station B and will not be affected by my influence. Retreat, there will be too much fluctuation. Just as Susiener finished speaking, she saw other people looking at her in surprise, which made her feel numb and said, "What's wrong?" Teacher Miyobi, I didn't expect you to know so much about this aspect, Chen Rui said in surprise. Susiener rolled her eyes, I used to be just lazy, not stupid. At any rate, my college entrance examination scores were not low, although I didn't score in math. After saying this, everyone else suddenly realized that Susiener's performance in comics was so amazing that it overshadowed the others. Even if every song was amazing, people still paid attention to her comic achievements. Of course, this also shows that Susiener's achievements in the comics industry are too amazing. Zhao Jing opened his mouth, and finally sighed. He originally wanted to say something about the situation in the comics industry, but he probably wouldn't change Susiener after telling him. After all, they had already made up their minds, so logging out of Weibo was Susiener's move to show her determination. Huang Xuntao didn't know what to say, because he had said everything he should say. Susiener still didn't want to make a comeback, so should he force her to make a comeback? Thinking of this, Huang Xuntao sighed. The ACT circle finally ushered in its own prosperity. In a few years, perhaps the whole country will be filled with this atmosphere. The 3 letters of ACT will be known to the people of the whole country. But now it seems that it may take a long time. And if Susiener retires, then it is obvious that she will not accept the invitation from CCTV. Since they can't convince Susiener, they don't want to stay here. After all, people outside are still waiting for a reply. It's just that everyone has different thoughts and worries on their faces. They don't know how to deal with those fans outside. Just when everyone was about to say goodbye, Susiener looked at her mobile phone and then said, by the way, Editor-in-Chief, what's wrong with these guys? Why are they all out of updates? When Susienner was playing with her mobile phone just now, she wanted to see the comics updated, but the 7 or 8 comics she was following were not updated at all. You know, last night was the update day. They all stopped updating. Isn't this asking for trouble? Zhao Jing didn't say anything. Lin Jingsha rolled her eyes. It's because you want to retire, and they all followed you, all eunuchs. What? Susienner was stunned. Alas, I lost, sad. Kk. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 341. Susienner was stunned for a moment. Looking at Lin Jingshu, Susienner asked again, really? Of course it's true. At this moment, Susienner was speechless. After Huang Xuntao and others left, she was still a little confused. When she was the only one left in the living room, Susienner went upstairs to open the computer to check the situation, and she couldn't help but be shocked. Is this mentally retarded? After reading it, Susienner understood the situation clearly and was stunned. Susienner felt that she must have fans, but she didn't think her fans would do anything. After all, she was a celebrity in disguise. As a celebrity, there must be mixed reviews, so even if she retires, it will probably be hot for 2 days, and it will be the first hot search on Weibo for 2 days. Once the limelight is over, it will be like that. No one will commit suicide for anyone else. This is the internet, this is reality. Similarly, this world will continue to turn without anyone. This sentence is also applicable to all industries in the world, because there are too many geniuses in the world with a population of nearly 10 billion, and there are too many geniuses in each industry. Susienner felt that there must be a lot of people in this world who are better than herself. What kind of world-centered solipsism? She didn't have such an idea in her mind. As a result, she was stunned after reading those comments on the internet. This group of cartoonists actually retired with her when she announced her retirement. At least her comics didn't have a bad ending, but this group of people just left. What the hell is this? You can make money by drawing comics, and this guy seems to have opened a single chapter saying that he has a wife and children? What are you doing as a eunuch? If you cut it off, can you still eat? Are you going to join the beggars gang? Susienner instantly doubted her life. She was sure that even if she retired, it would not have much impact, so she was confident and cancelled her Weibo account. Anyway, after 2 or 3 days, when the limelight was over, everyone should do what they should do. What happened? Why don't you draw comics anymore? And there are those fans who say they won't read comics anymore. Susienner was speechless and a little panicked. At least finish drawing the comics before you leave. Susienner wanted to lead this industry and then retire quickly. She would read comics, TV series, novels, TV dramas, and movies in the future. She would not lack money and could live a comfortable life. But now, it seems that she is too naive. Student Su, do you want to call them? Lin Jingsha came behind Susienner, with a sly smile in her squinting eyes. After living with her for a year, Lin Jingsha naturally knew that Susienner, a salted fish with no dreams, hoped that her biggest hope was to stay at home and have fun every day. But what if there were no comics and TV series to read? She must be very uncomfortable. Originally, she retired to be a salted fish, but in the end she found that the development of the comics industry was going to go backwards because of her retirement. Wouldn't that go against her original intention? Will Susienner retire? Lin Jingsha's deep understanding of Susienner. Susienner didn't respond, tears in her eyes. She picked up the phone painfully and dialed the number. Hello, is this the editor-in-chief? It's like this, ahem, I thought about it and felt that I still have a lot of stories to share with fans. It would be irresponsible to retire like this, and everyone's retention moved me to tears. I don't think I can live up to everyone's expectations, so, I don't want to retire. Is it too late to come back now? Hearing Susiener's words, Lin Jingshu laughed out loud behind her. She knew that Susiener would not be persuaded by Zhao Jing and others, but would be influenced by her retirement to come back. So when Susiener said she wanted to retire, Lin Jingshu felt that with Susiener's influence on the comics industry, it would definitely not succeed. It's not her confidence, but her confidence in Susiener. Because Susiener is the leader of the comics industry, the booming development of the comics industry this year is inseparable from her influence, and those new comics artists basically come for Susiener, and they have great confidence in the comics industry with teacher Miyobi. But what if there is no Susiener in the comics industry? The avalanche in the comics industry this morning is a reality. Because Susiener is a kind of belief in the hearts of many cartoonists. At this time, Zhao Jing, who was at the school gate, was about to get on the car, and he was stunned when he received Susiener's call. Miyobi teacher, are you coming back? Zhao Jing's cheeks twitched. For some reason, he wanted to beat Susiener now. Luoyang was stunned when he heard it next to him, and then his eyes were ecstatic. The ups and downs in his heart made Zhao Jing's spirit suddenly a little tired, and he wanted to swear. Seeing that Chen Rui was about to get on the car, Zhao Jing hurriedly stopped him, and then said a few words briefly. In Chen Rui's surprised eyes, he looked at Huang Xuntao, who picked up the loudspeaker. Huang Xuntao was very heavy-hearted at this moment, because he failed to convince Susiener to come back, which gave him a headache. He didn't even know how to explain to the fans at the school gate. Will these guys cause trouble? With this mood, Huang Xuntao was about to speak, but he saw Zhao Jing and Chen Rui in front of him coming forward and desperately winking at him. Later, when Huang Xuntao got the news, the four of them hurriedly ran to Susiener's dormitory again. This time, Dean Li and Huang Guang were not there. They would definitely not call those two people again, as they were simply troublemakers. When everyone gathered together again, Chen Rui couldn't help but said, Teacher Miyobi, do you want to make a comeback? The others looked at Susiener expectantly, and then they saw the other party smile and say, can you restore the Weibo? I can post it on Weibo so that everyone won't worry. Okay, Huang Xuntao slapped his head, picked up the phone and wanted to make a call, but after thinking about it, he didn't do that. Instead, he said cautiously, Teacher Miyobi, we can't restore Weibo now, we must take a moment. When the others heard this, they reacted and nodded. Chen Rui thought for a while and said, it's not a good time to restore Weibo. Otherwise, once Weibo is restored, it will be easily influenced by the media, and it will give everyone the feeling that you are teasing your fans. Let's do this, wait for your Station B and Tencent Animation to make an announcement together. Huang Xuntao hesitated and said, we can use the previous marketing account to make the other party take the blame. Although Huang Xuntao didn't say it clearly, Chen Rui and Zhao Jing knew each other, but Susiener was confused and said, what announcement? Luoyang on the side smiled slightly and said, Teacher Miyobi, no one has tried to kill you before. When we make an announcement, we will push the blame on that marketing account and also reveal the reason why you logged off Weibo. Impulsive. You are only 18. At this age, it is common to lose your temper. That's right, Huang Xuntao smiled, although you may lose some fans, the loss and impact can be minimized. Susiener understands. The whole blame goes to the verbal and written critic. She is the one who has been wronged. Plus she is younger and is being criticized like that, so of course she will be angry. As for little girls, they must be very impulsive when they are angry. It is understandable that I impulsively posted on Weibo that I wanted to retire, and then cancelled my Weibo account. Then what should I do better then? The four of them looked at each other and said in unison, just act cute. VO transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 342. Chapter 330. The next comic? Let the fans decide. Huang Xuntao and the other four left quickly. When they went out, Zhao Jing and Chen Rui immediately called the company's phone number and asked the official Weibo to stand up and say a word. As for what to say, of course it was the news that Susiener was about to make a comeback. Of course, this must be said implicitly. The public relations department said it had been received, and Huang Xuntao quickly arrived at the school gate. He was holding a loudspeaker and his expression was light, but the joy in his eyes was unmistakable. I can understand everyone's anxiety. I just met with Editor-in-Chief Zhao of Tencent Animation, Director Chen of Station B, and Teacher Miaobi. What is gratifying is that our conversation with Teacher Miaobi was very pleasant. When we arrived at Teacher Miaobi already knew the consequences of his impulsive behavior. It was just because Teacher Miaobi was only 18 years old, and he didn't know how to explain it, so please wait for a day or two, then Teacher Miaobi will give everyone a satisfactory explanation. Huang Xuntao didn't say a lot of nonsense. He directly showed that Susiener knew that he was impulsive, so he would make a comeback in a day or two. Although this is child's play. But everyone can also know from Huang Xuntao's words that Susiener is obviously losing her temper as a little girl. Zhao Jing and Chen Rui also smiled and agreed. After all, if these people caused trouble, it would have a bad impact on Susiener's reputation. This made all the fans breathe a sigh of relief, with reassuring smiles on their faces. It was obvious that the guarantees of the three people in front of them were very trustworthy. Seeing that everyone was relaxed, Huang Xuntao held the speaker tightly and said again, "Please also stand up for your idol as soon as possible when Teacher Miaobi is wronged. Teacher Miaobi is your idol, and you are her fans of idols will definitely be very disappointed if their idols are slandered and their fans just watch." Huang Xuntao didn't say anything serious, but it made Yeching blush. He knew the other person was talking about him. After all, as the general leader of the fan club, he made a mistake in decision-making, which caused a lot of black water to be thrown at Susiener. As the general leader, he failed in his responsibility. The fans who got the accurate information quickly dispersed under the comfort of security guards and Huang Xuntao. On Weibo, the official blog of Station B and the official blog of Tencent Animation finally spoke. Of course, the two Weibo posts only lightly repeated the story as instructed by Chen Rui and Zhao Jing. The ambiguous tone indicated that Susiener might make a comeback, so please rest assured. As soon as this news was released, coupled with the news on Weibo from fans who had listened to Huang Xuntao's words at the school gate, countless people suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. After Zhao Jing returned to the Yanjing branch, he asked Luoyang to talk to the editors of each group and tell the cartoonists who were planning eunuchs to draw them carefully and stop messing around. This news also came out. Some fans were a little doubtful because Weibo had not been restored yet, but when the cartoonists spread the news, everyone was relieved. On the next day, when countless fans were notified by Weibo that Susiener's Weibo had been restored, everyone crowded under Susiener's Weibo and found that the Weibo post saying that she was going to retire had been deleted. All of a sudden, the whole world was celebrating. Who are you? Why do you have more than 200 million fans since your debut? Did you delete Weibo because you felt ashamed that there were typos on Weibo? The little fairy who loses her temper is also very cute. Sizai steamed goose heart upstairs. When Susiener's Weibo was restored, everyone was completely relieved. At this time, Susiener was troubled. Looking at Wang Ximen who was concentrating on playing the game next to her, she couldn't help but ask, "You think, how should a girl act cute?" At that time, Huang Xuntao and the others asked her and her fans to act cute, but she was stunned. Is there still such a routine? Of course, in the eyes of Huang Xuntao and others, Susiener's age advantage and the fact that this is a world of good looks, coupled with the arrogance of verbal and written criticism, allowed them to quickly minimize the impact of this matter. But let Susiener act cute. This is simply a fantasy. Wang Ximen held the controller and said casually, "Isn't it easy to be cute? For example. After a while, Wang Ximen was also stunned and looked at Susiener. "Send a selfie." Hearing the tone of Wang Ximen's question, Susiener rolled her eyes. It seemed that this guy didn't know how to be cute. It's so shameful to be cute. Let's discuss what comics you are going to draw next, teacher Miyobi, Wang Ximen chuckled. For her, she has never been cute since she was a child, so naturally she is not familiar with this aspect. What are you drawing? Susiener was scrolling through the news on her phone. Now the internet is all about her Weibo recovery and sudden comeback. But after watching it for a long time, there was no one spraying her, which made her very bored. It was previously said on the internet that her glassy heart had been sprayed and she had retired, which was all nonsense. In fact, she still likes to see people spraying her. Then she can learn from it and borrow it to spray others when playing games. Drawing suspense comics. When he mentioned comics, Wang Ximen threw away the controller and stopped playing the game. He looked at Susiener with sparkling eyes. Before, the other party said that he wanted to retire, but Wang Ximen had been trying his best to stop her. It's just that Susiener has already made up her mind, so she also knows that she can't keep him. Now that I heard that Susiener is coming back, she must be drawing comics again, right? She was attracted by Book of Life and Death at first. In Wang Ximen's opinion, Susiener should be the best at suspense comics. If the next comic is also a suspense comic, she will definitely follow it. Who said I would draw comics immediately after my comeback? Susiener was depressed. If it weren't for those cartoonists making trouble, she wouldn't have come back. Isn't this sick? She announced her retirement the day before yesterday, cancelled her Weibo yesterday, and came back today. I always feel that she is playing a trick on me. Fortunately, the fans did not blame her. They were all immersed in the joy of her return, which made Susiener feel a little embarrassed. Just when Wang Ximen was about to speak, Susiener's eyes suddenly lit up. That's right. If you can't be cute, you can draw a comic to apologize. The fans blamed themselves for not helping Susiener wholeheartedly before, and Susiener felt ashamed today, because she retired with the help of the verbal criticism incident. I always feel embarrassed. Now, Susiener suddenly thought of a way. Thinking of this, she immediately posted a Weibo. I made everyone worried because of my willfulness. After thinking about it, in order to make everyone forgive me, I will let everyone decide the theme of my next comic. It will be limited to 1 month. After 1 month, the comment with the most likes will be selected as the theme of the next comic. Transition chapter. It's uncomfortable. There should be no second chapter, sigh. It should have been posted yesterday, but this chapter turned out to be a transition chapter. I hate writing transition chapters the most. Then, I went to B Station to read Red again. I read it all night. It took me nearly 3 hours to finish this chapter in the morning. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 343. Time flies, and nearly a month has passed. In this month, the impact of Susiener's retirement has almost disappeared, and what replaced it is the Weibo that Susiener posted at that time. And tonight is about to come to the 31st day, and then the type of comics Susiener will draw will be revealed. But, at this moment, countless people stared at the bottom of Susiener's Weibo with a strange look on their faces. In fact, before, many people followed Susiener's Weibo every day. At the beginning, Susiener said that she would draw comics on the theme with the most likes in a month. This move made everyone pay attention to Susiener's Weibo all the time. But tonight, it seems a little different. Book. Book. Book, likes, 450 million. We want to see comics that are both suspenseful and pure love, likes, 330 million. Pure love. Pure love, likes, 310 million. Suspense. Please come up with another comic that can be compared with Book of Life and Death, likes, 300 million. When they saw the top 4, everyone was confused. Hey! It's too obvious that the first place book has been liked. It was only 320 million 2 hours ago, and now it's 450 million. Damn, shameless. It has 130 million likes, damn. Rich. By the way, do rich people like to read books? Books are so good. It's boring after the end of Suxian series. I look forward to the new book of Teacher Miyobi. Why should I be criticized for getting likes with my own ability? However, it's a waste of talent to let Teacher Miyobi draw books. You know nothing, the books drawn by Teacher Miyobi are the real essence. Have you forgotten Luchugzio's Suxian series extra chapter? And the sold-out Beautiful Girl Kaleidoscope? Obviously, for the spectators, no matter it is a book, pure love, or suspense comics, they like to read it as long as it is drawn by Teacher Miyobi. But, for fans who like pure love and suspense comics, it is simply unforgivable. As fans of Susienner, they should have competed fairly to canvas votes, but they ended up swiping likes, shameless. In this case, don't blame them for breaking the rules of the game. Looking at the time, it will be a month in 2 hours. Do we really have to let Teacher Miyobi draw a book? While the storm was surging on the internet, Susienner was ready to play games. A month ago, when Susienner had just posted that Weibo, she immediately received a call from Zhao Jing. As the editor-in-chief of Tencent Animation, Zhao Jing was very concerned about Susienner's every move on the internet. Because he knew that the other party was unreliable, he had to pay attention to it to prevent the other party from doing anything else. Just like the previous retirement incident, the media heard the news and reported it all over the country. After that incident, Susienner's fame can be said to be truly resounding throughout the country. Even people who don't like act know Susienner. At that time, Zhao Jing saw Susienner's Weibo and contacted Susienner immediately, hoping that she would think about the next comic book carefully and not waste her fame. In Zhao Jing's opinion, most of the fans' suggestions are unreliable. After all, the story is drawn by the cartoonist, not the fans. What kind of comics do you want to draw? Don't you have any idea in your mind? However, Susienner didn't bother to pay attention, rolled her eyes, and said bluntly, "I'm trying to eliminate the influence." Zhao Jing was speechless and could only hope that these fans would stop making trouble and come up with some messy themes for Susienner to draw. In this month, there was no ripple for Susienner. Of course, when the Huaxia Conservatory of Music opened, Huang Guan came to ask her to speak on behalf of the freshmen, but she refused. She didn't even go to the opening ceremony. When she traveled through time, she hoped to lead the act circle and retire. As a result, she was forced to come back now, so she must enjoy her college life. Anyway, it's not like she hasn't been to college before, and she's experienced college life. The main reason she came to college was to accompany Lin Jingshu. Now she lives comfortably, and she skips classes every day. Of course, Huang Guang has warned her many times that if she doesn't come to class, she will lose credits, but Susienner has always turned a deaf ear to him, which makes Huang Guang grit his teeth and can't do anything about her. What can you do to someone who doesn't care about credits and expulsion? Even Dean Li is very troubled by this. According to the school rules, students with bad circumstances like Susienner must be expelled. But, she doesn't want to expel her at all. Isn't this driving outstanding students to other schools? And this is not just an ordinary outstanding student. In the end, there was nothing she could do about Susienner, so she could only turn a blind eye. Just as Susiener picked up her phone, Wang Ziman suddenly rushed in. Before Susiener could start to spray, the other party said with joy, "We're in the quarterfinals. We're in the quarterfinals." "What quarterfinals?" Susiener looked confused. "RNG and we." Before Wang Ziman finished speaking, Lin Jingshu also rushed in, "Student Su, RNG, and we have entered the quarterfinals." Susiener's mouth twitched, she remembered. The recent League of Legends World Finals is in progress, and today seems to be the time to decide all the top 8 teams. The internet has been discussing it a lot, saying that this year is the most likely time for the Chinese team to win the championship. Especially RNG, because of Uzi and the current version is the ADC version, RNG has the highest chance of winning the championship. As for why these two guys are so excited, it's all because she said on Weibo that as long as the LPL team wins the championship, she will dance to the Pure Land of Bliss. This is the song and dance that Lin Jingshu has always been thinking about, and it's almost become an obsession. As for Wang Ziman, half of her likes the game, and half of her is also infected by Lin Jingshu, and she is also very curious to see the song and dance called Pure Land of Bliss. So both of them are very concerned about the League of Legends game. Thinking about it, Susiener asked curiously, "Did EDG make it to the quarterfinals?" "Eliminated, stopped in the top 16. "What? EDG was eliminated?" Susiener's heart skipped a beat. "You know, EDG is invincible in civil wars. As long as EDG enters the quarterfinals and meets RNG, they will definitely beat RNG. There is no way, civil wars are as fierce as tigers. This team is studying the weaknesses of domestic teams all day long. They can kill any foreign team. However, they are defeated when they meet foreign teams." Susiener also hopes that EDG can drag down all LPL teams, and then they will die when they meet SKT. If SKT wins the championship, she won't have to dance Pure Land. When she said it on Weibo, she didn't believe that LPL would win the championship. The main reason was EDG. Now the opponent didn't even make it to the quarterfinals. How can they help the Korean team to snipe RNG and we? Is it going to be against the will of heaven this year? If RNG won the championship in reality, it would be natural. But the bird's nest was a civil war between two Korean teams. It's uncomfortable. I have to change the world line. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 344. Just when Lin Jingshu's eyes sparkled and she was about to interrogate Susiener about the Pure Land of Bliss again, her cell phone rang. Susiener quickly picked up the phone, fearing that the two guys would urge her to jump into the Pure Land of Bliss. The Pure Land of Bliss? Is that a human jump? Thinking of this, Susiener looked at the caller ID and saw that it was Zhao Zheng. "What's the matter?" Susiener answered the call and drove the two out of the room, so that the two guys wouldn't urge her to jump into the Pure Land of Bliss. Why can't she learn from Xianhui and study how to write a good novel every day? "Miobi teacher, a month has passed." "Oh, what's wrong?" Susiener was a little confused, and then suddenly realized, "You are talking about the Weibo voting, right? I remember this matter. Don't worry, don't urge me every time. These guys, every time there is something about her, they come to notify her, which makes her very annoyed. Of course, she has no sense of shame for the current situation caused by her own bad deeds." Zhao Jing said helplessly, "I'm not here to rush this matter. This matter is probably what the girls in Susiener's dormitory will tell the other party. He wants to talk about something else." Without waiting for Susiener to ask, Zhao Jing said, "It's like this, when will you do the interview you promised before your comeback? And, you promised to agree to a reasonable request from the cartoonist martyr. The other party has already made it. When will you fulfill it?" Susienner was silent for a long time, and then she said leisurely, "Can it be postponed?" "You have postponed it for a month." Zhao Jing gritted his teeth and said that because of the verbal criticism and smearing incident, they pushed the pot to the other party, and then promised to publish an interview with Susienner in the near future. This news was released more than 20 days ago, and many fans are waiting. And more of them are those media, who come to harass him and Chen Rui every day, wanting to get the right to interview Susienner. After all, Susienner has not been interviewed since her debut. In addition, Susienner is now in Huaxia Conservatory of Music, and the media cannot enter, so it is even more difficult to interview Susienner. "I'm very busy." Susienner looked at the game on the computer and said distressedly, "Push it for a few more days." "I'm very busy these days." Zhao Jing was silent. After a long time without hearing any sound, Susienner knew that the other party was protesting to her with silence, and said with a chuckle, "Okay, when is the interview?" "I'm free these days." Zhao Jing sighed, just wanted to postpone it for a few more days, he was very busy. Now it became free these days. But he didn't complain about the other party, for fear that the other party would regret it. Just when he was about to speak, Susienner suddenly said, "No. Wait, I'll designate the reporter for the interview." "Miobi teacher, do you know the reporter?" Zhao Jing was surprised. "Yes, I knew her in high school. I promised her that I would call her if she was interviewed in the future. It's just right for her to do an interview this time." If Zhao Jing hadn't urged her to do an interview, she would have almost forgotten about it. Now that she remembered it, it was just right to do a favor. "What's the name of that reporter?" "What's her name?" "Li." Susienner was suddenly confused because she forgot. Then she called Lin Jingshu over and asked her name, and she replied, "Su Li, a reporter from Oriental TV." "Okay, I know. I'll arrange it in the next 2 days." "Teacher Miobi, don't turn off your phone. I'll contact you when the time comes." Zhao Jing breathed a sigh of relief, then thought of something and complained, "Teacher Miobi, can you make your assistant's phone number public? I can't always tip you off." In fact, Zhao Jing was very annoyed. He was the editor-in-chief of Tencent Comics, not Susienner's secretary and assistant. Moreover, the other party obviously had an assistant, but he didn't make the contact information public, which made him and Chen Rui very annoyed. Every time there is something to ask Susienner, the first ones to be contacted are always the two of them. What a big deal. "Don't worry, I'll post a Weibo when the time comes." Susienner heard this and responded directly. She didn't publish Chen Shui's work mobile phone number before because she thought she would retire and it would be less troublesome. Now she thinks that Chen Shui gets a salary every month and just needs to manage the Miobi studio every day. It's so easy. By the way, there is also the request of the cartoonist Martyr. Recently, the animation production of the other party has been completed for more than half. "Look, Miobi teacher, do you want to start working?" Zhao Jing said cautiously. Every time he discussed a problem with Susienner, he had to be prepared to be rejected, and venomous at all times, so Zhao Jing didn't have much hope. "What does making animation have to do with me?" Susienner was puzzled. Hearing this, Zhao Jing patiently said, "Mr. Miobi, didn't you agree to a request from that martyr before? It was this martyr who was the first to be eunuch, causing turmoil in the comics industry." Although Zhao Jing and Susienner hated each other, in the eyes of others, the other party was the lead for Susienner to return to the comics industry, so everyone discussed it at the beginning and felt that it would be better to express it. Susienner thought it was troublesome, so she just let the other party make a request. Hearing this, Susienner remembered and said confusedly, "What did the other party ask for?" "The martyr wants you to dub his heroine." After a while, Susienner said with resentment, "My voice is so bad, let's forget it." "Dare you dare to exaggerate a little more?" Zhao Jing was very upset. If Susienner's voice was bad, then there would be no good voices in this world. Okay, okay. What else? Susiana regretted that she agreed to that guy's request on a whim. Now, she had dug a hole for herself and had to jump in. After all, this matter was made public and the fans had witnessed it. That's all. Zhao Jing was relieved to see Susiana agreed. Miobi teacher, the dubbing work will start after the interview. Okay, Susiana certainly hoped that the later the better. The two discussed the matters, and Susiana couldn't wait to hang up the phone. As soon as she hung up, the phone rang again. Looking at the caller ID. Aunt, Amy Yip. Susiana threw the phone on the bed and ignored it. After a while, there was no sound, which made her feel relieved, but the next moment, it rang again. Why are there so many things today? Susiana picked up the phone reluctantly and sighed. Hello, what's up, Auntie? Little fairy. Didn't you say you would promote as Elaine? Didn't you say you would voice the Jug Destroyer? Didn't you say you would? Didn't you say you would? As soon as she answered the phone, the voice of Amy Yip came over. At this moment, Susiana felt that she should have retired strongly at the beginning. I had a severe cold these 2 days, and I couldn't stand it anymore. My head was dizzy and I went to bed at 7 or 8 every night. I felt better today. I wrote this chapter from the afternoon until now. I'm going to have dinner, take medicine, and go to bed. I'll fix the typos tomorrow when I get up. It's uncomfortable. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 345. Susiana's eyes were dull, looking up at the sky. Listening to the ants chattering on the phone, she was speechless. The promotion of As Elaine was indeed going to be promoted at that time, but I was exposed in my live broadcast that night, so it was postponed. It's not like I won't promote you. It's been several months, Yayuking said dissatisfiedly. After you were exposed, we thought you and Billy would use this as a gimmick for promotion, but we didn't expect it to happen. You know, As Elaine has basically been completed, and the internal test is almost finished. If the promotion fails, it will be a big loss. This is the world's first Kankali game. In Yayuking's opinion, it will definitely be popular. Wouldn't it be great to make it a PC game? Of course, PC games are a very distant thing in the future, and the most urgent thing is this mobile game. Let's do this. I'll think of a way these 2 days, don't worry. I promise I won't delay, you can rest assured, Susiana said with a guilty conscience. It was true that she had promised to promote it, but it had been so long since she helped. Moreover, when she was in trouble, her aunt kept calling her to care about her. As her niece, Susiana felt that she couldn't delay anyone but her aunt. If it was someone else, she would probably have to push it again. Didn't you see that she was busy and exhausted? But the other party was her aunt. You must not delay it again. Yayuking was also helpless. Although she hadn't seen her for a long time, she felt that her niece's personality had changed a lot. She used to keep her word, but what happened recently? Moreover, when the other party's assistant Chen Shui came to help them, she also complained about Susiana every day. She wrote this down in her little notebook and planned to find an opportunity to talk to Susiana and let the other party fire the assistant who spoke ill of the boss behind his back, but now she felt that Chen Shui was right. I'm telling you, our internal testing is almost over, and we have to promote it. You know, we're a small company, we don't have any promotional channels, and we don't have any money. You're the big boss, you've invested in it, and although that little bit of money is just a drop in the bucket for a little guy like you, you can't squander it like this. Yayuking snorted twice. Now Susiana's identity is different, so every time she wants to scold her, she feels a little weak. Of course, this is because they haven't seen each other for too long, and when Susiana just came here, she didn't call her, so Yayuking thought her niece was distancing herself. I remember. Although I can't guarantee that the publicity will be known to the whole country, I guarantee that the publicity will be known to the entire ACT circle. Although Susiener didn't have any ideas, she knew people. When the time came, she could use some connections to publicize it. Thinking of this, she said, "Okay, this matter will definitely be done. By the way, I need to find Chen Shui for something." "Is she next to you?" "Yes, but she's on the phone." Ye Yuking said, "By the way, I'm basically done with my work here. I'll go to your school to find you when the time comes." "Look, find me," Susiener stuttered. "Look, find me, what should I do?" "Hey, you've come to Yanjing, we're the only relatives now, who else can I look for if not you? Originally, when you first came, I had to go over to see you, but you asked me to do mine. At the time, there were too many things to do and I couldn't get away. In addition, you were studying at a university in Yanjing, so you weren't in a hurry. So I took a break. Now of course I have to go over to see you." In fact, it was Ye Yuking who felt that her niece had changed a little, which made her feel strange, so she had to go over to see her. "It seems that there is no escape," Susiener thought secretly, and said helplessly, "Okay. Okay, I'll come to you in 2 days. Chen Shui has finished her call, I'll give her the phone." "Hello." Chen Shui answered the phone and asked curiously, "What's wrong?" She thought Susiener called to ask about the situation of the mobile game Azalane. After all, Susiener had invested in this game and was a major shareholder. Susiener said seriously, "It's like this. Didn't I make a comeback? But every time someone wants to contact me, the call goes to Zhaojing and Chen Rui. They both blame me now, so I want to make your phone number public. You will be responsible for external reception in the future." Hearing this, Chen Shui felt wronged. "Boss, don't you know that I am very busy at work now? I have been in charge of Miobi Studio. I have to review the orders from Dobeo every day, and some companies need to modify them, and I also do it. There are only a few customer service staff, and then I asked you to send them here to check the test status of Azalane. Now if my phone number is made public, I will be so busy. Then you can find a few more customer service staff." "You didn't say it," Chen Shui said confidently, "and you don't know that those big companies don't call the customer service at all, but contact me specifically. I am so annoyed." Hearing this, Susiener woke up and realized that this guy is mentally retarded. But after hearing what Chen Shui said, she also felt that the other party's workload was indeed a bit heavy. After all, Miobi Studio is now a behemoth, and there are already 2 or 3 groups full, and these are all artists. This has been developed in a year, so Chen Shui is not wrong. If the other party makes his phone number public, his phone will probably be blown up. Thinking of this, Susiener said, "Then I will find a secretary." "You want to find a secretary?" Chen Shui's eyes lit up, and he hesitated in his eyes, then gritted his teeth and flattered, "Little fairy, I have someone to recommend me. Do you want it?" "Tell me about it." After all, Chen Shui was an assistant in high school and did many things very well. Susiener naturally wanted to listen to the other party's recommendation. "When I went to Lingtown before, I took my best friend with me. The one I recommended was my best friend," Chen Shui praised. "My best friend was the student council president when she was in college, and she was also a top student. She was a top student in college. She has always been a popular figure in the school, but, after graduation, because she was pretty, she worked as a secretary, but she resigned after only a few days because her bosses always harassed her and made her she is so annoyed. I was on the phone just now, and my best friend resigned again and was complaining to me. If you want a secretary, boss, why not let her try? Very beautiful." "Yes. Very beautiful." "How beautiful?" Chen Shui thought for a moment and hesitated. "Very sexy." After realizing it, she was suddenly speechless. "Boss, why do you ask this?" "Nothing. Let's do this. She looks, ahem, Since you think she is very capable, do you want her to come to Yanjing for an interview? Okay, she originally wanted to come to Yanjing to relax, just in time to interview a secretary, Chen Shui said excitedly. After all, she was her best friend when she was in college. It would be the best if they could work together. Afterwards, the two chatted for a while, and Susiener hung up the phone. Then she turned on the computer and planned to check Weibo. After all, it was already a month later, so the comic theme should have been chosen, right? Thinking about it, Susiener logged into her Weibo account, took a closer look, and couldn't help but fell silent. Book. 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 This comment has the highest number of likes.